All right, so any question in regard to the final practice exam or the final review? All right, cool. So number 8. So let me switch over to my iPad. All right. So if you look at problem number A, it says determine the z-score for each of the following observation for a normal distribution with mean equal to 11 and standard deviation equal to sigma is equal to 2.62. So for this one, all you have to remember, this is pretty much going back to the first test. The z-score is equal to x minus mu divided by sigma. If you do x, so they're telling us x is equal to 9. There you go, 9 minus mu, which is 11, all divided by standard deviation, which is 2.62. So if I do 9 minus 11, you get negative 2 over 2.62. So then let me do that. So 2 divided by 2.62. Right. So then your final answer will be negative 763. And don't forget the decimal. Yeah, so this one kind of is going back to the first test where you had to find a z-score. So all you have to do, you press, well, substitute x in. So instead of putting x, you put 9. Instead of putting mu, you put 11 because that's what it's equal to. And instead of putting sigma, you put 2.62 and then you work it out. And then that's the answer for number 8. Cool. Any follow-up question in regard to how I did number 8? All right. All right, so what other question you want me to go over? Oh, so let's do 10. So if you look at 10, it says let x be a random observation that had a normal distribution with a mean mu equal to 12. Standard deviation of 2, it says find the area under the normal distribution curve for the following. All right, so that one shouldn't be that bad. So it tells us the normal distribution. So this is the normal distribution shape. So the mean is 12. And if you look at number 10, it's telling us that between 7.76 and 12. So here go 7.76. Here go 12. And it's between these two values. There. First off, any question for the drawing so far? All right. So then all you have to do is just figure out how to do this in ClassCalc, or if you're using the TI-83, how to do it in the TI-83. So for the ClassCalc, it's gonna ask you for 4 things. It's gonna ask you for mu. It's gonna ask for sigma. It's gonna ask for the lower bound. And it's gonna ask for the upper bound. So the mu is still 12. The standard deviation would still be 2. The lower bound, if you look at it, lower bound, the lowest value that gets shaded. So it's 7.76. The upper bound, the highest value that gets shaded, so that's 12. So we're gonna use ClassCalc to do this. So say new share, go calculator. All right, so just make sure ClassCalc is in graphing mode. So then you go to stats, you go to distribution, you go to normal distribution. If you look at it, it's gonna ask you for mu. Mu is 12. If you look for standard deviation is 2. All you have to do is press CDF and then put the lower bound, which is 7.76. Put the upper bound where the upper bound is 12. And you're done. And that'll be your answer for number 10. Any question how I did it for number 10 on ClassCalc? All right. If you're using a TI-84, this is how you do in the TI-84. So TI-84, what you want to do, you want to hit the second button, and then you want to hit bars. So then you want to go right here where it says normal CDF. If you look at it, it'll ask for the lower bound. So the lower bound, you put 7.76. It asks for the upper bound, which is just 12. It asks for mu, which is 12 again. It asks for sigma, where sigma is 2. You go to paste, and that's your answer. All right, so if ever got music going on, we really don't need the music. All right, so that's it for number 10. So that's how you deal with the ClassCalc or the TI-84, whichever one you have. Any question in regard to number 10? All right. So let's do number 5. So number 5, let me go to my notes. Oops. So here go number 5. So if you look at it, it says, for the following, sketch a standard normal curve to shade the area representing the region and determine the area. So if for this one, we want to find z is greater than or equal to negative 2.03. So for this one, you have to kind of just remember whenever z is given, automatically we know mu is equal to 0, sigma is equal to 1. So whenever z is given, automatically mu is equal to 0, sigma is equal to 1. So pretty much if you look at it, they want to know that z is greater than or equal to negative 2.03. So you go 0 right here. negative 2.03 is right here. If you look at the arrow is pointing to the right-hand side. So since it's pointing to the right-hand side, that means you shade the right side. Cool. So then you have to figure out for class calc, what are we going to enter? So if you look at this, you want to enter whatever the lower bound is. So the lower bound, the lowest value that gets shaded. So the lowest value that possibly gets shaded is negative 2.03. There you go, negative 2.03 for the lower bound. If you look at the upper bound is never stopped. It keeps going to the right-hand side. So since it keep on going to the right-hand side, that's infinity. Or 10 to the 10 power. And once again, just remember, since this is a z-score mean it has already been standardized. Since it already been standardized, that means mu is equal to 0, sigma is equal to 1. Okay. Any questions so far on any of that? All right. So then what you want to go ahead and do, you want to go over to class calc and just enter this information into class calc. So we'll do a new one. So in class calc, we want to go to stats. We want to go to distribution. We want to do a normal distribution. So for this one, we put mu is 0. We put sigma is 1. And then lastly, you do CDF. Let's zoom in on this one. And if you look at it, the lower bound will be negative, what was that? 2.03. And my upper bound will be positive infinity, which class calc already entered for me. There you go, 0.9788. So 9, oops, 88. All right. And that's how you do number 5. So number 5 is realizing since you have a z-score means the mean is 0, standard deviation is 1, and just go ahead and just use the normal distribution again. All right. Any other question you want me to go over on the practice exam? All right, so 19. All right, so for this one, says if a bag contains 5 white ball, 6 red ball, and 9 black ball, determine the probability of pulling out. All right. So the first thing you kind of want to calculate is how many total balls are in this bag. So they tell you have 5 white ball, 6 red ball, and 9 black ball. So if you look at how many total balls there should be a total of 20. Because if you do 5 plus 6 plus 9, should give you 20. All right, so let's do 19. So for 19, set a white ball and then a black ball without replacement, with replacement. So we're first gonna focus on without replacement. So if you can't remember without replacement means once I select that object, I can't select that object again. So without replacement means once I select one of the balls, whatever color that ball is, I have one less ball to choose. All right. So for this one, we want to find the probability. The first one is white and then a black one. So pretty much, oops, sorry about that. So we want to find the probability. The first one is white. And then the probability, and then that the second one is black. So for this one, what we have to do, we have to do the multiplication rule. So the multiplication rule says probability white multiplied by the probability of black. All right. So let's go ahead and do this one. So what's the probability that the first ball I get is white? So the probability that the first one is white, all you have to do is just look at how many white balls do you have. So if you look at it, you have 5 white balls. So since you have 5 white balls, you put 5 out of 20. All right. So we get 5 out of 20. Then what you want to go ahead and do, you want to find the probability of getting a black ball. So remember, this is done without replacement. Without replacement means once I select that object, I can't select that object again. So hypothetically, if the first ball I selected was Y, so we'll say the first one was Y, instead of having 20 balls to choose from, now I only have 19 balls to choose from. And then you go, of those 19 balls, 9 of them should be black. So for this one, you have to account that the first one was white. So since the first one was white, that means you have one less white ball to choose from. So that's why in the denominator, you put 19, because pretty much instead of having 20 balls to choose from, you have one less, which will be 19. So then what you want to do, you just multiply those out. There you go, 5 divided by 20, multiplied by 9 divided by 19. And you get 0.1184. All right, so that's your final answer without replacement. Any question without replacement? All right, so now we're gonna do with replacement. So right now we're gonna be doing with replacement. So with replacement, yes, mean once I select that ball, you pretty much put the ball back into the bag. So you're always gonna have 20 balls. So pretty much once you select the ball, you record what color it is, and then you put it right back into the bag. And then that's why you're always gonna have 20 balls. So if we're doing this with replacement, we still want to find the probability the first one is white and then the second one is black. So this one will be, oops. So the probability the first one is white is 5 out of 20. But now when we want to find the probability the second one is black, you open 9. But since this is done with replacement, you divide it by 20. Because that means once we select a white ball, you put that white ball back into the bag, so you still have the 20 balls. So now if we do 5 divided by 20, multiplied by 9 divided by 20, you get 11 or 0.1125. Right. And that's 19. Any question in regard to 19?
Excuse me, how did you get the 0.1184?
by multiplying 5 divided by 20, multiplying it by 9 divided by 19. So you do this mathematical in your calculator. So all you have to do is multiply those two fractions. All right. Any other question in regard to 19? All right. Which other question you want me to go over? All right, so 14. Let's look at 14. All right, so for the 14, so the Bank of Connecticut issued Visa credit card. It estimated that the balance of all Visa credit card issued by Bank of Connecticut has a mean of 845 and a standard deviation of 270. Assume the balance of all these Visa card follow a normal distribution. So they're telling us mean is equal to 845. They're telling us standard deviation is 270. So if you look at it, it says, what is the probability that a randomly selected Visa card issued by the bank has a balance between 1,000 and 1,400? Sweet. So if you look at it, it says a randomly selected Visa card. So that means n is equal to 1. So that means your standard deviation doesn't get affected because n is just equal to 1. So if we draw this out, you have 845 in the middle. You have 1,000 over here. You have 1,400 over here. So if you look at it, it says between 1,000 and 1,400. So between mean in the middle of these two values. All right. So on your calculator for class calc, you just want to put the lower. So if you look at the lower, it's 1,000. If you look at the upper, is 1,400. If you look at your mu, is 845. If you look at sigma, is 270. So pretty much like the reason why you're gonna do the normal distribution on the TI-80, well, on the class calc, because if you look at it, they tell me this is a normal distribution. So as soon as I know the normal distribution, you're gonna do normal distribution on class calc. So let me switch over to class calc. Oh, let's switch over to that, and I'll do this. So all you have to do, go to stats, go to distribution, go to normal distribution, you enter your mu, mu is 845. You enter your sigma, which is 270. And then all you have to do is press CDF to let it know that you want to find the probability. So you say the probability between 1,000 all the way to 1,400. And if you look at the probability we get 0.2630. And that's your final answer. So for 14, we'll get blocking 0.263. And that's it. And that's how you do number 14. Any question in regard to 14? All right, so let's see 20 and 28. All right, so if you look at number 20 says give two marginal distribution for education level and status. So if you remember marginal distribution is just the probability of a column or the probability of a row. So if you look at it, a marginal distribution of education level. So education level are this one. So I could either give the probability somebody have less than a high school degree or a high school education, someone have a high school education, or someone has more than a high school education. So for less than a high school education, you have to do 1,105 divided by 2646. So that will be one marginal distribution I can give. Or if I want to give the probability somebody have a high school education level, you do 496 divided by 2646. Or I could give the probability somebody has more than a high school education level. So you do 1,045 divided by 2646. All right, so those are all of the possible marginal distribution you could give for education level. So if I wanted to do the same thing for status, status will be either somebody is better off, somebody is the same, or somebody is worse off. So for better off you do 1,213 divided by the total. For the same, you do 580 divided by the total. Or for worse off, you do 853 divided by the total. So you could choose any of those two, and that will be a marginal distribution. So if I wanted to, I could choose this one, this one, this one, and this one, and that's your answer for 20. All right. Any question in regard to 20? All right, so let's do 28. So for this one, it says a new drug is administered to 100 people. 26 of the people reported a rise in blood pressure. So we'll say, let's organize this. So we'll say rise of blood pressure. So rise of blood pressure is 26. And 18 reported loss of sleep. So we'll say loss of sleep is 18. And then 12 reported both of these side effects. So then we say both side effects is equal to 12. All right. So that's the information the problem is giving us. So they're telling us both side effects. So pretty much we have 12 people who have loss of sleep and rise of a blood pressure. We have 18 people who yes have loss of sleep, and then we have 26 people who have rise of blood pressure. So for this one, it says find the probability a person will experience rise of blood pressure given a report of loss of sleep. So if you look at this problem, they tell us given. So the given is how many people lost sleep. So we only want to focus on people who lost sleep. So technically, if I wanted to write this in the formula, so we're gonna say this is, so we'll say this is LS for loss of sleep. We'll put this one for BP as blood pressure. So we're gonna find the probability they have rise blood pressure. Oops. Given that they have loss of sleep. So for this one, what we want to do, we want to find the probability they have blood pressure and loss of sleep side effect. And we want to divide it by the amount of people who have loss of sleep side effect. So that's the formula we want to use because it's a conditional probability. So then for the top, if you look at it, we want to find the probability they have a rise blood pressure and they have loss of sleep. So that's 12. So that's 12 out of the 100 people. Then what we want to do, we want to divide it by how many people we have that have loss of sleep. So the amount of people who have loss of sleep will be these people over here, which is 18 divided by 100. If you want to get rid of the bottom denominator, you'll say 12 over 100 times 100 over 18. The 100 would cancel. So you'll end up with 12 over 18. So then 12 over 18 is equal to 66.6 And that's it for 28. So for 28, you have to look at the keyword given. Once they tell you it's given, they're telling you that's a conditional probability. All right. Any question in regard to 28? All right. Any other question? All right, so 32. All right, let's do 32. So it says video sharing site led by YouTube are popular destination on the internet. Let's look at the adult internet user age 18 and over. About 27% of adult internet users are 18 to 29 years old. Another 45% are 30 to 49 years old, and the remaining 28% are 15 and over. The Pew Internet and American Life Project find that 70% internet users age 18 to 29 have visited a video sharing site, along with 51% of those aged. You know what? Skip 32 and 33. That's not going to be on the final. So just skip 32 and 33. Cool. All right. Any other questions? Yeah, for this one, if you actually look at the description, I said 34 is not going to be on the test. So you don't have to worry about 34 because think in the description for the practice exam or the final review, I put it's not going to be on it. So let's go 37. All right, so for this one, says in the article in the US Today state that internet survey paid by direct assistant providers show that even the most accurate company give out wrong answer 15% of the time. Assume that you're testing a provider by making 10 requests and also assume that the provider gives the wrong telephone number 15% of the time. So to determine the probability of getting one wrong answer. All right, so for this one, if you kind of notice, for this one, they tell you how many times they're gonna ask the provider. They also tell you what percentage of the time they get it wrong. So for this one is actually a binomial distribution. So this is binomial. So if you look at this one, you go n is equal to 10. You go p is equal to 0.15. All right, so if you look at 37, 37 said determine the probability of getting one wrong answer. So that means x is equal to 1. So we want to find the probability of getting one wrong answer. So n is 10, p is 0.15, x is equal to 1. So I'm going to go over to class calc, then I'll show you in the TI 84 how to do this. All right, so all you have to do is go to stats, go to distribution, go to binomial distribution. And if you look right here for binomial distribution, all you have to do is enter the n. N in this case scenario is 10. Your p in this case scenario is 0.15. And lastly, you have to decide if it's CDF or PDF. Remember, CDF if you want a range, PDF if you just want one particular answer. In this case, we just want one particular answer. We just want to know when x is equal to 1. So we put x is equal to 1, and that's your answer, 0.3474. And that's it. Any question? I got 0.3474 for the answer for this one. All right, so let me show you how to do it for the TI-84. So for the TI-84, so first thing you want to do, go to second, then you want to go to bars, and then you want to go down where it says binomial and PDF. So for trial, you put 10 because trial is the other way of saying n. P is 0.15. X is equal to 1. You go down to paste, press enter, and we get exactly the same thing that we got for class calc. So that's how you want to do number 37. Yes, had to pretty much figure out that it's a binomial distribution. And since it's a binomial distribution, you have to just use class calc or TI-84 to find that answer. So that's it for 37. Any other question in regard to the practice final? Alright, so that's 40. All right. So for 40, it says assume that you are testing such a provider by making 100 requests. Determine the probability of getting at most 13 wrong number. Okay, so for 40, they're changing what the n value is. So instead of n being 10, they're telling you n is equal to 100. All right. And if you look at x, they want to have at most 13 wrong numbers. So since they want to have at most 13 wrong numbers, that means x is equal to 0, 1, 2, 3, all the way down to 13. So all I have to do, go to, here, we'll do this in the TI-83 first. So let's go to the TI-84. So you go second, bars. You go binomial. And this one, since you want a range, you do binomial CDF. So trial will be 100. P will be 0.15. X value, your X value will be 13. You go to paste, go to enter, and that's your answer. So you get 0.3474. All right, so that's for the TI-84. Now I'm going to show you how to do for the for class calc. All right, so for class calc, I'm going to clear this. I want to make this 100. So all you have to do in class calc is just tell it that you want to do a CDF, and you want to say the lower is 0, the upper is 13. And you get exactly the same answer, so you get the answer of 0.3474. And that's how you do number 40. Any question in regard to 40? Yeah. Any other questions? Let's look at 46. Cool. All right. So if you look at 46, 46, all they want you to find, you have to find the R value. So what we have to do, we have to enter this into our list. So I'm going to go to Class Calc and I'm going to enter this information. All right, so I actually found this out about Class Calc. You can actually just do this. If you look at mine, it has a little plus button. So if you hit the plus button, and then you can hit table. And then if you look at it, it says X1 and Y1. So in X1, I'm going to enter the X value. So you do 0.2, enter the next one 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, 0.6, 0.8, and 1.1. And then for the Y value, you go 20, you go 30, you go 22, you go 30, you go 38, you go 23, and you go 30. So you can just enter those value into this table if you hit the plus button and you hit table. And then if you press this magnifying glass, it'll give you a scatter plot of it. All right, so up next, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna go ahead and just finish this off. So for this one, we wanna find the R value. So to find the R value, we're gonna go over here where it says stats button. I believe it should be under advanced. And if you look at the first one, you wanna do linreg. So if you look at for linreg, it wants you to put the data set in, but I already put the data set in here in X1 and Y1. So I'm going to put X1 and Y1. And then if you look at it, it give me the equation, but it also give me the R value, and it's telling me the R value is 0.9, well, sorry, 0.2976. So we'll say 0.2976. And if you want to do problem number 47, you get the equation which is right above it, which is 6.01 4A51X plus 24.220297. And that's how you do 46 and 47. So 46 is the R value. For 47, you give this equation that right above it. So that's 46 and that's 47. Any question for 46, 47? Let's do 41. So for this one, it says a consumer agency that proposed that lawyer rate are too high wanted to estimate the mean hourly rate of all lawyer in New York City. A sample of 70 lawyers taken from New York City show that the mean hourly rate charged by them is 223, and the standard deviation hourly charge of all lawyer is $55. All right, so if you look at this one, they tell us sample mean is 223. They tell us the sample N is 70. And they tell us standard deviation of the population is 223. So if you look at problem number 41, they just want you to construct the 99% and the 90% confidence interval for the mean hourly charge for all lawyer in New York City. So for 41, all you have to do is just calculate the confidence interval. So I'm going to show you how to do that with the TI-80. Well, sorry, I want to show you how to do it with the class calc, and then I'll show you how to do it with the TI-84. All right, so, all right, so go to stats, go to tests, and go to the interval. So the interval, you put sigma, which was 223, put sample mean, oh, sorry. Sigma should have been 55. So this should be 55. Sample mean should be 223. And N should be 70. And then your confidence level should be 99% and 90%. So you'll do 0.99. And that's your answer. So you get, it should be between 206.07 all the way to 239.93. And that's how you do 41 on class calc. Any question how to do 41 on class calc? Okay, so let me show you how to do on the TI-84. So for the TI-84, you want to hit the stats button. So you go stats, you just move it all over where it says test. And then you go right here where it says the interval. So then you have to put sigma. Sigma is 55. Sample mean is 223. My sample size is 70. And confidence level we said was 99%. So 99%. So we go to calculate. And if you look at it, we get exactly the same answer that we got using class calc. So that's how you do 41 on the TI-84 or on class calc. Any question in regard to 41? Any other questions? All right, so if there's no any question, I'm gonna just end today's lecture. If you do find that you have more question, just remember I am gonna have office hours from 11:15 all the way to 12:15. So if you still haven't taken the test, do the test as soon as possible because that's due today at 11:59 p.m. So try to take it as soon as possible, and yeah. Also, just remember on Thursday we're doing exactly the same thing. So just look over the final review and just see what question do you still have in regard to the final review. For that way, on Thursday, if you still have those questions, you can ask me on Thursday. All right, guys. So that's pretty much it for today's lecture. I'll see you on Thursday. Stop share. End
For
meeting.
the when is our final exam?
It could be next week.
Next week, Tuesday?
Well, I'm gonna give you the whole week, so I'm gonna give you Monday all the way through um, Friday.
Oh, okay. So we're gonna be able to take it like whenever we can, right?
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Thank you.
yeah, and the final exam is multiple choice.